pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop.
And we are back, your Purple Pants podcast Pit Stop crew, covering the season 35 of Amazing Race, episode 8 recap. And I am joined by the amazing, the wonderful, the talented, she has an opera voice, the winner of Amazing Race season 29, Miss Brooke Cam. Hi, that is now good win. How are you, Brookie?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I'm a little tired this morning, but I knew we had to get up and talk Amazing Race, so nothing makes me more excited. Well, actually, a couple things make me more excited, and that would be, Phil announced that the Amazing Race season 36 is coming back March 13th, so that means you will get more of your Pit Stop crew. I feel like this is the first, I feel like I'm like, oh my God, this is the first time they're going to get like 2 Brooke and Brice in 1 year. But
I mean,
it's
people are
the year
either lucky. Sorry about that. Whatever. That is true. It is a new year. What's cool is, so 2 things. One, this is the season that the new season 36 is actually the one that shot 35th. So they swapped them because the current one was edited for 90 minutes. The new one was originally edited for hour episodes. And so they're going to be re-editing apparently those next season, original 35, current 36, to be longer. The one part that's interesting about that is I'm curious to see how it works out, because in original 35, the one that's coming next, they were still on the charter plane. So it's going to be a little bit weird to see, the world opened up for this season, and then it's going to be a little more closed off for next time. But I think that the editors know that, and I think they're going to do a really good job in trying to show us more and give us more and get the background. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to see it. And I am sure the people who won that season are excited to see it, because I'm sure there was a time in their heads where they went, oh no, this is never going to air, which means, oh no, we're not getting paid. So hopefully it will air. Hopefully, it's going to air. Hopefully that is a season that will air. And the winners of that season are probably breathing a big sigh of relief once they saw that announcement.
Well, 2 things. I feel like the winners, or that whole season, I know it's a hard pill to swallow to wait that long, but I also feel like the season that James and Will won, I feel like they had to wait even longer. So I feel like, count your lucky stars. Now, is this the season that they had to stop in Philadelphia when I called you and I was like, Brooke, I'm downtown and I see Amazing Race stuff? Is that this season?
I do believe 36? It is. Yep.
So you might see a cameo of me giving somebody directions.
Which is... that would be incredible. That would be so meta to be like, and then we saw this guy. But also, I was in Philadelphia years ago, and I actually was like, how has this city never been the end of an Amazing Race season? Because for anyone who doesn't know, in Philadelphia, there's this street called like Race Street, and it has all these flags, and it's the perfect setting for a final task.
Right to the art museum with the Rocky Steps.
The Rocky Steps, yep.
So, I don't know if that was the end of, one, that isn't where I saw them, but they were in that general area, but that isn't where I saw it. So I will be curious to see if that is where they ended the season.
I mean, if they don't utilize, Race Street, Race Avenue, whatever it is, with all the flags and the Rocky Steps, that is just a wasted opportunity as far as I'm concerned if they don't use that. So that's exciting. I do remember you reaching out and being like, the Amazing Race is right in front of me. And I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, Brice, go get on there, be the person so that we can talk about it. And now is going to be the time when we're going to get to talk about it. Yes. Very exciting. That, if nothing else, I'm excited for that.
Yes, I'm excited.
The rest of the season could suck. Who cares? I'm excited for that.
I think it'll be a good season. And even though they did charter planes, I really feel like what they'll do is they won't really make such a huge deal of like them getting on the planes and stuff, because doing our exit interviews, we learned that we miss a lot. There are so much that get cut out of the episode, and sometimes some even like parts of different roadblocks and detours. So
sometimes entire roadblocks,
right?
Detours. I mean, we had a task in Chicago on our very last leg, which was just we had to make 10 Chicago dogs and pack them up and put them in, like we did like a little assembly line. It didn't change the outcome. It didn't make the episode, although we had fun with it. So it would have been fun to watch. But yeah, sometimes whole things just don't make the air. It doesn't affect the outcome. It doesn't make the air.
We'll have to see. But one thing that does make the air on our podcast and YouTube is we have to give a huge shout out to Brooke's parents because they watch and listen and we love them. And, you know, I love Brooke's parents and I especially love my girl Dale. So I have to give a shout out to my girl Dale. I always tell Brooke the story, but when I met her parents at her wedding, I was at the bar that was sponsored by Bacon, and I was with Josh from Survivor, and Brooke's mom was coming over, and I was like, oh my God, there's Brooke's mom. And Josh is like, doesn't she look amazing? I was like, oh my God, she looks so gorgeous. And so although it was your wedding, your mom kind of like owned the room. Like, I feel like she was like the queen and everyone was like, hey, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Like, you know, everywhere she went, people were saying hi. And so Josh and I are at the bar and she comes over and I'm like, Josh, is she coming over to us? And then someone comes up to her and is like, Dale. And Dale's like, excuse me. And she came up and was like, how are you? It's so nice to meet you. Now, mind you, you know, I'm so dramatic. I was like, ah. I was like, Miss Kim, hi. It's such a pleasure. She was like, darling, my name's Dale. I was like, oh, okay, Dale. Dale it is. Dale it is. So I love your parents. And
you have just made her life. Sorry. This is amazing.
Well, I also have to say, now we've talked about your wedding before, but I love weddings, right? You know, I always get emotional and I was like, you know, I just be loving her. I just get emotional at weddings. And so when I saw Brooke come down or when I saw her, like, I'm like looking like I'm seeing her right now. When I saw her, like, kind of like approach her, I was like, oh my God, she looks so beautiful. But I also was so surprised at how calm Brooke was because I was like in my head imagining you being like, oh my God, but you were so calm and so like just so graceful. But I think the part at your wedding that got me emotional was when I guess, you know, you and Matt tried to blend your traditions, right? And do different things. And there was like the warming of the wedding ring. And I don't know why, like and you know, shout out to Matt's parents, but you know, I was focused on the cam highs because I was just like, I just wanted to like just see everything they did. And so when they like warmed the ring in their hand and they kissed it, and then like when they gave it back to, I don't know if it was you or Matt's brother, they did a little fist pump. And I was just like, my friend was like, why are you crying? I was like, I just saw Brooke's parents give a fist pump.
I saw that. That was funny. Yeah, they did. They're nuts. That was a Matt's side tradition from the Irish side, I guess. And I didn't know that we weren't supposed to touch them. So Matt's brother had to give them to his parents, who gave them to my parents, who gave them back to the brother, who gave them to us. And then on my side, Matt broke the glass. And so we had like a little bit of a blending of traditions. But my parents, shout out, hi mom and dad, who are now I'm sure watching us on the big screen TV in the den because they keep telling me they're watching us. So make sure that we look okay. So this is going to be so meta for them. Hi. Okay. So here we are.
We're here.
And
okay. And also before we start.
Okay.
I have now I've officially crossed over. I'm officially cussing the team out. Oh, officially.
I bet I know who they are. I'd be surprised if I didn't know who they are. Honestly, I will say the internet is cursing out what I believe to be a different team, and it's making me angry.
So, okay.
The internet has vilified Steve and Annalie, and I don't like that because I don't see it. Maybe I just don't see it, but I think they're great, and I think it's funny because like the Facebook community, like every season finds a team they're just not gonna like. I know what that's like. Anyway, and they have decided that it is Annalie, not even Steve. It's just Annalie. I think she's great.
I think she's great.
I don't see it. I think she's wonderful. I think nobody knows what the relationships are with their parents. Some people and the problem is everyone's comparing them to Rob and Corey, who have a very different relationship. Steve and Annalie have a different kind of relationship, and I think it's wonderful. It's more similar to the one I have with my father. And we love each other, and they love each other. Get over it, Facebook. Sorry.
I was going to say the same thing, right? Like, I feel like Anna Lee and her dad, if me and my mom were to run the race, oh, my mom would be cussing me out. I would be cussing like that. Like, I also feel like people need to understand that sometimes families' love language is arguing. And I feel like I love it, right? Like, I feel like I look forward to when teams argue or when teams kind of have these meltdowns because honestly it's more relatable to me. It's more like, like this episode we see a lot of jazz between Todd and Ashley, and I love it because it's like that's how I talk, that's how I communicate, that's how like I like, them little one, like, so I love it. I can see through the edit of as to why people would kind of hate it, but I don't. I think it's like real. I think it's like I enjoy it because
I also don't even think they're really arguing. No one's cursing. No one's being
right.
disrespectful. They're just they get a little snipey. I mean, you know what?
They're playing
Facebook, go
for
on
it.
the race, see how you like it, see how you feel, and see if you don't snipe at anyone ever. Just walk a mile in her shoes. Okay.
I always say that to people on the Twitters or when something happens in Survivor and I have a hot take and I'm like, oh, blah, 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 and someone's like, you were the third boot, shut up. And my comeback is always, well, tell me what season and where you placed at. Because I would love to know and I would love to watch.
Were you? Exactly. I like when you go, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's.
Wait, what do I do, Brooke?
You go,
No, wait. I'm sorry. Your internet broke up. Could you do it again? I didn't see.
You need to try and record your. I like when you get a little spice and you go,
Excuse me. Me and my girl Dale, we never get like that. So I'm not sure who or what you're referring to, but
I will pull an old clip and you'll see you do it better than I do. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Okay. All right.
Okay. Thank you. I gotta get a bell. Okay. So should we start? People have probably already stopped listening. Okay.
Well, there is no dog barking this week. Knock on wood yet. So, I mean, hopefully they're still listening. Oh, wait. But shout out to Bacon. And listen, if you don't know, Bacon is the third co-host of this pit stop. So we apologize for him barking. But listen, if Bacon got something to say, he got something to say.
And it's usually, he actually woke up this morning and he goes, all right. Like sometimes when he yawns, he sounds like he says something. And that's what I cracked us. It was very funny. Okay. So ready? Here we go. Let's hit it. So the teams are in Deutschland and then they have to go to Slovenia, which is a 600 miles southeast. Apparently it is the greenest capital in Europe. It's only a 32-year-old country. It's like a little baby country, which is
it's older than me.
Me too, totes. So then there's like a big Expedia plug where they talk about all things that are great about Expedia, which one thing I don't understand. So Expedia bought Travelocity. This gnome was the cutest part of the Amazing Race. Bring back the gnome. I am going to start a petition. They need the gnome back on the race because it's fun to carry. Some people leave it behind, then it's fun to watch them freak out. Like Joel and Garrett leave everything behind. I'm sure they would leave behind the gnome and I would laugh, but then they would come back and then they would be successful. So it's fine. I'm not mad about it. So hashtag bring back the gnome.
Bring back the gnome.
Exactly. Okay. So Greg and John are first. Everyone is supposed to be on a 7:30 p.m. flight. Greg and John get to this travel agency where they're supposed to pick up their tickets and they do the exact right thing. They're like, just curious, is there an earlier flight? And there is. There is a 4 p.m. flight, which they're like, okay, we're going to get on that flight. Awesome. Robin and Chelsea show up and they try to copy, but they don't copy. And they're on the Gee, Brice, I wonder which team you're not a fan of this week.
I was thinking of the Travelocity gnome. Sorry.
Right, totally. So they're on a 7:30 flight. Todd and Ashley, Rob and Corey, both very smart. They find out about the 4 p.m. flight and ask to be on standby. But apparently you can't get on standby until you're at the airport. So they both book it to the airport. Then you have Steve and Annalie, Lena and Morgan, and Joel and Garrett. All on the later flight. So there's a cute little moment in the car where Ashley and Todd are in the car. And for some reason, Ashley thinks that Dracula is from Slovenia. And I think that's Romania, but she's very into it. It's very cute. They make a comment. Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say it was Todd's voice of trying to do the Dracula that
did
I
it for you.
was confused because I was like, is that Dracula? Or I wasn't sure, but it was Todd trying
First
to
of all,
do.
Dracula is way older than 30 years, and Slovenia is a baby new country. So no, but cute all the same. They're very cute. So they raced the airport. Rob and Corey raced the airport. And here is your foreshadowing for episode 8. Lena and Morgan are in the car. They have a very heartwarming story about their cousin who had a double brain aneurysm. Oh my goodness. But one of the things that she can do is watch TV, and how heartwarming it's going to be when she sees her cousins on television. And I immediately go, probably shouldn't watch this episode because one of my favorite teams is most definitely going to go home, because when the Amazing Race tells you about a heartwarming story 9 times out of 10, that means that team, which unfortunately we both love this time, is going to be out of here. It happened with the Philly Jones. It's happening now. It has not happened with Robin and Chelsea. They keep telling us the sad stories about Robin, which are very, very sad. And they're still in it. So, okay.
I agree. That's my one. If I had to give a cliff note of this season, it's that I feel like the editing is kind of still the same in that regards to a 60-minute episode. I feel like Survivor, and again, I'm always compare Survivor to Amazing Race. I feel like Survivor with their 90-minute episodes, I feel like they show us a lot more of a lot of the castaways. Just randomly and at different points in time. So you don't really have this like foreshadowing that we are still having with Amazing Race. So I really hope in season 36 that it's just like y'all just spread out the storytelling, and so it's not just so obvious, because I thought the same thing. Also, Joel and Garrett, love them, because I like the fact that when they were at the travel agent's office and they're like, so wait, we're on the flight with 4 other teams, and the guy was like, yes, and they're like, listen, that's great, like we were literally just in last place. Now, another question that I had to ask was, because I like to get my Amazing Race tips from you. So I loved how the brothers, they did ask, is there an earlier flight? I'm like, yes. Now, Todd and Ashley, they were just getting ready to risk it all to potentially get on this flight, right? And and I guess like if they didn't make it, they would still
They'd still be on the 7:30.
okay. All right. So, all right. Cause I was like, wait, that's a huge risk, but also the reward I think was definitely worth the risk. What are your thoughts? Now, here's another little great. I feel like this is my great episode.
I like that. So it's not just me.
I like when there is more than one travel agent person. Right. I don't like it when it's just one, because one, I thought that guy was nice, right? I thought he was nice, friendly, and efficient. I would have loved if there was like another one that wasn't so nice and maybe a little slow. Like, I would have just kind of loved to see the dynamics of the different teams. But all right, that's my
I think the difference here is that they already had seats on a 7:30 flight. It wasn't like go to the travel agency, find a flight, and book it. It was like pick up your tickets. And so it wasn't like going to be a mad scramble for who could get on one flight, because they were all going to be on a certain flight. Also, shout out to Kelly, because Survivor this week was a little bit heartbreaking. I don't think she should have gone home. So I too watched that, and she's not watching this. But between me and you, was not thrilled with the outcome of that episode. But what are you going to do? That's a whole nother podcast.
Reality TV for us, all our ladies.
I know. She was great. Okay.
Amazing.
Bring her back. And also bring back Morgan and Lena. Bring back everybody from this week. Redo week 8. Bring it back. Anyway, okay. So we have Greg and John, Rob and Corey, and Todd and Ashley all make it onto that 4 p.m. flight. So they're coming in 3.5 hours ahead, and they're like, this is amazing. What?
Yeah. Oh, you mean they make it on the flight through the travel agency? Okay, because
they get on standby. They go to the airport. They get on standby. The other 2 teams get on that flight. So you have 3 teams on that first flight.
Am I watching a different episode?
What? What do you mean?
I thought they got the tickets, but then they got on the train and they realized the train transfer.
Yes, they get on the flight, and then they have to
get on the flight. I feel like when you say get on the flight,
they take a flight to Vienna, and then from Vienna you have to take a train to Slovenia, right? So they're early into Austria, and then you have to take a train across the border to Slovenia. So there is an earlier train that gets into Slovenia. So the 3 teams get on this train, and they have like a very, very short amount of time to make one of the connections on the train, right? So 3 teams are ahead. They've taken the flight. The flight part is over, but then they have to take a train. So it's like planes and trains and automobiles this episode. So they get on this train that is due to arrive at 1 o'clock in the morning instead of 9 o'clock in the morning. They're going to have an 8-hour lead on the other 4 teams. But no, they're not, because the train has 2 connections. One of the connections is like 14 minutes late. The problem is the second connection, they only had 5 minutes to make. So it actually turns out, like with lateness and things running on to whatever, they're going to miss that second connection by 1 minute. And they're like, well, that sucks. So what they do is after the first connection, they get back on the train the other way back to Vienna and just meet up with the other teams. And so then everyone ends up on the same train. So the benefit is they had so much time that they were able to turn around and go back, and they took this shot. But honestly, I feel like had they gotten on all their connections properly and arrived at 1 o'clock in the morning, things were not going to be open. It was going to be one of those situations where it would be like opens at 8 a.m. And maybe they would have had an hour lead, but that was all a wash. The whole thing was kind of pointless, but it was fun to watch on TV being like, oh no, are you going to make it? Are you not? And they just decided we're not going to make it. If that second train takes off on time, or whatever, that connection takes off on time, then we're screwed. So we might as well get back to Vienna where we can meet up with everybody else, which is what they ended up doing. And then they all end up on the same train as the people on flight 2, Steve and Anna Lee, Lena and Morgan, Joel and Garrett, and Robin and Chelsea. So
would you have risked it and tried to see that 1 minute connection if you could have made it?
I don't know how much further they had to go to see that 1 minute connection. If it was still would have given me time to get back, totally. But it sounded like it wouldn't necessarily have given them time to get back with the way that the trains were running back to Vienna. So they did the right thing, because if you get stuck somewhere in the middle, I mean, I don't know, maybe they could have just waited for the next train to get
That's what I was thinking. Like, I think I might have been a daredevil, because I think like at this point in the race, I feel like you should be pulling out the stops. And
I also don't know if that actually, I don't know if the second train went the same route. I don't know if it actually stopped at that spot. If it did, no harm, no foul, then you just show up and get on that train there. But I think maybe it was a different route. I kind of remember them looking at the map and being like, well, this train goes this way and this train goes this way. So
also, Garrett and Todd, when they saw the other teams coming back, they were like,
everyone was like, oh my God, woohoo. And I think it was Corey was like, well, we tried. We got on this other train. The connection was no good. We did what we could. I think they made the right decision, especially because you don't want to be the teams in the front that end up fighting for last place. At least this play, you're on an even playing field with everybody else. So that's fine. Okay, so they're all on the right train at this point to Slovenia. And when they get there, they have to go to Congress Square and pick up a car. And this time, Brice, it's a stick shift.
I said, okay, let me find out Phil is listening to the pit stop.
Hi, Phil.
Because I said, I said, ooh. I was so excited. I was like, yes. And you know me, I always like to see what team is going to stall out because I don't know. That's what I look to see.
Because it's fun to watch and to see people freak out. But like, I think maybe they didn't show some of it. We spoke with Morgan and Lena's like, I took the driving lessons. I was ready to go. But she also said she was the only one apparently who hadn't already known how to drive a stick shift. So good on her. She was the only one we saw stall out a little bit. But they didn't make a big deal about
Right. They recovered
stalling
pretty quickly.
Yeah. So they did a great job. And whatever. Steve and Annalie get in the car and they are at it again. But I'm laughing. And honestly, Facebook, calm down. They're lovely people. So everyone's talking about how gorgeous this country is, these beautiful mountains. It's so green and wonderful. Lena's having a little bit of trouble, but I don't care because we love them. And they have to drive to this airfield. Yep. I'm not going to pronounce it right. So they have to drive to this airfield and pick a number. I love a pick a number task. Like, it's so great when you get there and you're like, oh, 1. And that happens to Joel and Garrett. So good on them because they were so last at the end of the last leg, or second to last, close to going home. And now they're like, oh my God, number 1. We're not. I appreciate Joel and Garrett because I appreciate how joyous and how genuine their emotions look and feel to me when they get somewhere, they never seem to be like mugging for the camera, even when they're being a little bit cheesy about their mustaches and their beards and I don't even care, because I think they're just genuinely happy-go-lucky, nice people. And Joel was a huge Amazing Race fan. Remember, he talked about it in the Army. And I just love the fact that the two of them, it's always something. Like, he was a crepe master. This guy carried sugar cane. Like, they always have I always say there's a task for someone, for everyone, but there seems to be every task
for them, right?
It's fine. So they pick number 1. Rob and Corey get there and pick number 2. Then Todd and Ashley, Greg and John, Robin and Chelsea, Morgan and Lena, and Steve and Annalie are lost. And like I said, going at it a little, but not mean, relax. And so the numbers are for a roadblock, which says, who wants a bird's eye view? This looked so fun. This is a task right up Brooke's alley. I would have loved this.
I would have loved it, but I was like a little so what do you mean? You're attached to a plane, then you get let go.
Where'd the rope go?
I was like, how do you get down if this is just a glider plane? And what if the wind picks up from the left, right wing quadrant? And that had me a little nervous, but it looked exciting and fun. I loved, because when we got to see Rob and Corey, Rob was like, I'm doing it. Rob was like, Corey was like, oh, okay. All yours. Shout out to Rob and Corey. I love Corey, but I love Papa Rob, because Rob said, I'm doing this. Okay.
I love that you and I think we're his best friends. We're we can't wait to see him again and catch up. We've only met Corey, who, by the way, also awesome.
Corey, very lovely.
You're great. You're wonderful. He's probably so sick. So on my season, we had Becca and Floyd, who were affectionately known as Team Fun, and they are lovely humans. They're great. But everyone on the season was like, I love Team Fun. They're so great, blah, blah, blah. And I would meet people and they're like, oh my God, Team Fun. And I'm like, yeah, I do. It's fine. It's wonderful. I feel like Corey probably feels a little bit the same way, where he's like, everyone's like, you're great, Corey, but your dad. And he's probably like, I know, my dad's great. Yes, he's great. He's great. I'm here too. Anyway, whatever. It's fine.
Yes. You're both great. If you love them as much as we love them, Corey and Rob, just like Lewis and Michelle, they have their own YouTube page, and they recap the episodes. So you should go over there and give them a follow and show them some love and let them know the Purple Pants Pit Stop crew sent you their way.
Yes, that's great. I love that. Yeah, go give it a listen. But finish listening to this first and then go give it a listen. You got time for both. We know you do. Okay. So because there's a commute or something where you can put in your headphones and give it a listen. Okay. Back to this. So you have to get in a glider and you have to go up in the air over Lake Bled, and you have to find these 4 numbers that are floating on the lake on boats. And then there's going to be some question. You don't know what the question is. And I kind of love this. And I love the fact that unless you're paying attention, there's one boat that has the Expedia symbol on it, and it's sort of pointing in a direction so you know which way to read the numbers. Most people didn't pay attention to that, but I do think some people actually did a little research on Slovenia when they knew where they were going, because very few people had a problem with the question. So also, I don't think so, but is there a motor on a glider if you need it? What, you are right. What happens if the wind picks up? What?
Girl, that's what I'm saying.
You just die?
Girl, that's what I was trying to figure out when I had to rewatch and listen to them explain what would happen. And again, they're like, you're on this glider. So I'm like, what?
You're 2,000 feet up in the, I guess you have a parachute and whatever.
Yeah. I was like, I would want to do this challenge, but I would be a little nervous because I was like, just the glider? Mm. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh, okay. The airplane they're just on the back of the airplane. Then when the airplane let the thing go, I was like, oh my God.
What do they do now? Have you been skydiving?
So I've not, and here I want to go skydiving, but I have no one to go skydiving with. I've tried to go skydiving with 4 people, and no one wants to go. We should go. Have you ever been?
I promised my parents I would. I have been. I went for my 31st birthday, and I promised my relax, Mom, relax. I promised my mother I would never go again. But we'll talk about it. It's fun. It's terrifying. It is the most scared I've ever been in my life. But once the parachute opened, it was the cool. I have a video, and you'll laugh because I'll show it to you. But they're like, "Do you want to pull the parachute?" And I was like, "No, I'll probably pass out." No. So I had the guy pull it, but you free fall for way too long as far as I'm concerned. And I'm holding on they're like, let your arms out. And I'm like, no. And I'm holding on like this and I'm mouthing something. You can see on the video. I'm like, and at the end, my mom's like, what were you? I was just, please don't die. Please don't die. Please don't die. That's all I just kept saying. And then the parachute opened and I was like, oh, well, this is lovely. It is silent though. And it's a very cool feeling of just like pure silence other than the own screams in my head as you're free falling. It's cool.
Yeah. I'm down. I also feel like it has to be like liberating and free. And it has to be like, it's either the best it's either going to be the best moment of your life
or the last
or the last.
My mom's definitely she's going to call me in this moment and be like, we just watched minute 30. You're not going. And I'm relax. It's fine. Okay. So anyway, so Garrett gets up there. He can't really see the numbers. He has to go again. Oh my God.
Now, mind you,
he gets $11.99.
I was like, that don't even look right.
No, like these, no, $11.99. I thought people were going to guess like $19.19. Maybe think it was not as young as it is.
I was like, is that BC 11?
No, right. This is like Middle Ages, the man. So whatever, it's fine. But the fact that he had to go again, he couldn't just take another guess. He couldn't Robin Chelsea his way into it and be like 6, 7, 8. No, he had to fly again. Maybe he just wanted to fly again.
But see, this is one of those ones where I know on the previous episode, I was like, I don't like how they just was able to stay up there. But I feel like for something like this, you should have to move some blocks and then be able to answer it again. Because that is, talk about a game killer.
That's a hard pill to swallow when you have to actually wait. Because almost everyone was there at that point. So It wasn't even like, okay, you can go again now. They were going one at a time. And so, wow, that was hard. That if I were him, I would have had a much more harsh response than he did. And shout out to Joel and Garrett. Nobody got mad at anybody. Joel wasn't like, no, they were supportive. And that is nice to see. I like, they're just very happy-go-lucky. I like them.
After they went, though, I got a little nervous for Rob. I was like, I hope Rob got his glasses, because Rob be needing his glasses sometimes. So I was like, I hope he brought his glasses up there. And I also feel like I didn't notice the arrow when we first watched it. I only noticed it after they pointed it out.
But Rob gets up there. God love Rob. He is a history buff. He's like, I just watched something on NATO, and so I knew the answer, and he knew it immediately. And he was the first one to get it. So I was like, okay, so maybe some people actually did do a little research, but he didn't have to. He's just smart. I don't think I would have watched that thing on NATO. Documentaries aren't so much for me. I get a little bored,
you don't love
but I do.
Doc?
No, okay. I love a good documentary, but then I watched that thing about the octopus, and I don't think I can watch them anymore because now it makes me not want to eat octopi because they're just very smart, and I feel like I'm eating a.
So it's funny that you say that, because I just watched this documentary on YouTube about zoos and how smart, about how off topic, but the structures in the zoo, right?
I don't think we've been on topic most of the time.
Well, those are the best podcasts about how the structures in the zoo are really they're not built really to keep the animals out. It is partly physical and partly mental. They play with the animals to think that they can't get out. And so it was this documentary on 9 or 11 animals that have escaped. And
I would watch that.
Really waited to see. And one of the animals was an octopus.
Because they're geniuses, and now I feel guilty ever eating them, but they're delicious geniuses, and it's rough because it's like, you're already dead. I'm not killing. I will not pick a lobster out of a tank because I don't want to be responsible for the death of the animal. I think
lobster's overrated. Sorry.
Oh, I love lobster. It's delicious. But if it's already on somebody else's plate and it's already been killed, then I'm gonna eat it. But when I was younger, I don't even know if my dad remembered this story, but there was a seafood place off topic, seafood place near my parents' house. And I remember wanting to order a lobster just to let it go, in the water at the place, because And my dad was like, we're not doing that because that's just a waste of money. And I was like, save the lobsters. And so, because you know me, I want to save every animal, even the poor lobster that's stuck in the tank. I don't think he let me do it. He's going to call me and be like, I spent $27 on that lobster and you set it free. But that's fine. Anyway, I would watch that documentary because I think that's really interesting.
But I'm like, an octopus escaped.
Genius. And they can get through the tiniest little spaces.
They went through like I was like, what the?
Other than their beak, I think they don't have any, like, they can just smush themselves into like teeny little spots.
Think twice about the next time I order calamari, but
I know. But it's really dead.
Do you like grilled or fried calamari?
I prefer grilled personally. I actually would choose, if it's really, really freshly fried, like if it's hot and crispy, yes. But I feel like once it sits out for 5 minutes, then it's like, sooner eat a French fry. Anyway, that's that story. Roadblock. So Rob gets it right. Todd is pissed off because he actually can't do this roadblock. There have been a handful of roadblocks in Amazing Race history where it says so-and-so has to do it because of height or weight restrictions. There was a team of Harlem Globetrotters once where one of them couldn't do a roadblock because he was too tall and too heavy. Todd can't do this one.
Akbar and Sherry from
right,
of the ice thing with the thing they couldn't see it, and Akbar wasn't that supportive of Sherry while she was doing it because Sherry had her little height thing, but that's another story.
I liked both of them. I know.
I like Sherry. I'm sure I mean, I don't have a problem with Akbar, but I'm just saying, but the edit
he's like a good person.
Yeah,
like helps underprivileged children and was on the Ellen show. He's good.
But he wanted to win, and he was like, come on, Sherry. Come on, Sherry. Come on, you got to go. And I'm like, well, Akbar, you like, sorry, I just loved Sherry. Sherry was my girl.
She was great. Okay, so John gets in the plane. He's like a little nervous because he's strapped into a parachute, but he gets it right. Robin, what do I have about here? She thinks the 9s are 6s. Okay, so I'm like, she's going to get it wrong because she can't read the 9s and the 6s, but she doesn't. She gets it right. And then Lena's in there. She can't read the numbers at all.
Lena's all a 7.
Yeah, she said it was 1976, which honestly was closer than 1199.
Controls, right.
I feel like she should have gotten partial credit and whatever. So she's got to do it again. Okay, so once you get it right, so now you have Garrett there, Lena there, and they're waiting for Steve and Annalee, who finally show up. And I got to shout out to Morgan, who is sitting with Annalee on the sideline.
Right.
And they're the last two left. And it's not just Morgan. This happens more than once this episode. Morgan gives Annalee like a really nice pep talk. Annalee's down. I mean, look, I get it. She is being edited to be like a little bit like bratty, which I don't think she is in real life, but editing is a thing, Facebook, so get off her back. So Morgan, to her credit, is like, don't get down. And Lena, when she's done, they're like, you got this, don't worry. And there's nobody behind them. So they don't have to be so nice. Like, they're probably stressing out on their own too, but they're being so kind. And I love that from them. They're just really, really nice people. So anyway.
I also think, right, like, and again, this is why I didn't have, and I love Annalee and her dad, but this is why I didn't have them as my winner pick, right? Because it's those teams in the beginning that kill it that I always feel like it doesn't last to the end. And so also, I feel like to your Facebook people, imagine you being in the lead for more than half of the race. And in your mind, you think like, oh, we got this. And now when you start tripping up over things that you feel like you should be ahead or you should be killing it, like, how would you be, right? Like, you would be upset. You would be frustrated. Like, give them some grace. Like,
no, the people on Facebook are perfect. They don't get mad. They don't get upset. They're just sunshine and rainbows all the time, whatever.
Right.
Relax.
So that's why it's like, I don't mind it. Like, I agree. And I feel like I would be 1,000% worse than Annalee and her dad.
1,000%. But she's hard on herself. She is a little bit like me. She's in the car going, we suck. Like, we should be better. We are whatever. And they're not bad-mouthing any other team. They're not bad-mouthing the country. You know what? There have been so many people on The Amazing Race who have just been down on their surroundings and like obnoxious Americans who just don't appreciate the beauty and who are mean to other teams and who try and break down other teams. That's not what's happening here. She's hard on herself and everyone else needs to stop being hard on her. So that's all I'll say about that. Okay. So when they're done, they have to drive to this Nordic center and get their next clue. This is cool. I think this is actually, you don't like it?
I mean,
Oh, I know why you don't like it. Because
it's
Greg and
cool.
John asked for directions and do the right thing. And Robin and Chelsea actually say, let's just follow them. And I'm thinking, come on, girls, like do something. Like
So
maybe.
again, right?
Scrape it out. There you go.
In theory, I ain't mad, right? I ain't mad, right? Like, I'm not mad. In theory, get it how you get it, do it how you do it, right? Like, cool. But I'm just like, I mean, y'all should just join the Franklin brothers. Like, y'all literally are just a shadow. Like, you know, so y'all should just stand behind them. And like act like, you know, y'all good at acting like y'all don't see people. So act like y'all just not there and be their shadow. And
Move with them. That's funny.
For me, I ain't mad, right? Because if I was on the Amazing Race and like I see a great team, I'm just gonna follow them. I'm not, but the fact that y'all are just like, we should just follow them. Go ahead. And like, and again, if this just happened once and it's at the end, I'm not mad. But it's like, it's a pattern. And again, we don't see y'all helping nobody. We don't see y'all.
That's the problem.
That's
That's
my
where
kind
the
of gripe
issue
with
is.
it. And that's my only thing. But again, I don't know when they get to the hotels, if like, you know, maybe they have a good relationship and the brothers don't mind it. But again, maybe this is the editing.
Oh no, they mind it. They mind it because cuts later in the episode, they mind it. And the thing is this, it's also, if I'm the brothers, I'm going to try and lose them. And then it's like a little bit unsafe. So it's like, okay, if I'm driving, and I was usually, we sort of split the driving, but I drove a good amount. And so you want to try and lose somebody, and I would try and lose them because honestly, at this point, it's like, this is a pattern and this is not okay. But at the same time, good on you, Robin and Chelsea, because you're all going to the same place. So I don't believe in the people who are like, they're just following. Again, you're all going to the same place. Like, how many different ways can you go? And you shouldn't be forced to go a different way just because it looks like you're following. But in this case, they're like, let's just follow. So they're owning it.
And so, I am not mad at them actually following because it's like, listen, I would do it. My issue is like, have some tact. Be a little bit more discreet. Because,
or at least say thank you. I don't know.
Right. Because I feel like if they win, Robin and Chelsea, I feel like they should split their money with Greg and Corey. Because I'm just saying,
Greg and
John.
But also Rob and Corey. Because
Corey.
Anyway, Rob and Corey, however, now are going the wrong way. So this is for the first time they're not going where they're supposed to be going. So they get to the Nordic Center, which is this really cool, like, ski slopey place and cross-country ski whatever. Anyway, Todd and Ashley get there first. Good on them, good directions. And there is a second express pass. This is unheard of. This is new and different. And frankly, I don't think I'm a fan of it because I don't think this late in the race you should have another express pass. But I do very much love what happens in this whole section of the race because Todd and Ashley get there first. The express passes climb up 1,100 steps to the second highest ski jump in the world and ride down the steepest zip line that there is, which also looks hella fun to me. So I think this is great. But Todd and Ashley run right by and totally miss the entrance to the stairs. They're going to go for it, but they miss it.
Rob and Corey.
And I just wrote, this is a good episode. I'm excited. Yes, Rob and Corey show up next and they see it. And
they're like, nobody's doing it. Should we do it?
And Corey's so cute. He's like, Dad, are you going to be able to do this? Like, not in a mean way, but if you don't have this, we'll keep going. If you do think you have it in you, let's give it a shot.
And my thing is like, now, Corey, what you think Rob was going to say?
Yeah, right? There's no chance.
He didn't have it, you know Rob was doing it. Now, mind you, here's my second gripe of the episode, and it's coming for somebody that I love, but Todd with love made me mad this episode, right? Because they get there, and I feel like I have a lot of friends that are like this with me, where it's like, sometimes I feel like you just need to, and I'm good at this, and then people think that I'm mean, but I am good for putting my foot down. Like, no, I don't want to do it. And then like my friends are like, well, no, but should we? No. And so Todd was like with Ashley, you think you can do it? It's a lot. You think you can do it? You think you can do it? And like, I feel like in that situation, I was like, Ashley, like, I mean, listen, it's going to be a lot, but if you my partner, Todd, and you say we would like, let's do it. And so like they kind of went back and forth, and Todd was kind of being like, well, no, you're not like, and then they ended up doing it. And then Ashley was like, whew, listen, baby, we ain't gonna be able to do it. And then Todd's like, oh, we should have not. No, well, Todd, with love, you should have just said no. Let's
disagree. So I'll tell you why. Todd and Ashley with love, I think they did the smart thing because Greg and John are there and Robin and Chelsea get there because obviously Greg and John are there. And then Todd and Ashley, who have started to try and do this express path, give up because Todd's like, you can beat them. But then they're not going to beat them. So I see what you said, like, let's just go. But I think they did the absolute smart. Maybe they shouldn't have started it, but give her a chance to try it. Give her a chance. And then they realize they're not going to do it, which is good. They may have actually beaten Rob and Corey, like, because they may have ultimately taken them over. But that being said, now they're in first place because they decided to give up. So I get it. You want to give her a chance to try. Right. Yes. Now they're in first place, which is
I just
great.
Felt like Todd was like, are you sure you can do it? Are you sure? Like, and I just feel like I wish Todd would have been like, we're not doing it. Let's go.
Okay, that's fair.
So, like,
but at the same time, you don't want to be like, you can't do this. We're not doing it.
Well,
like,
I mean, but sometimes I want you to tell me that though, right?
Okay,
like,
fine.
But I feel like that is the point of the race, right? Like, I'd rather be mad at Todd, but in first place, and Phil, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my only thing was that, like, I was actually mad at Todd for not just being like, let's go. But I get it. Like, let us try it. But I felt like in their back and forth, it was like Todd was like, are you sure you can do it? And yeah, so I just was like, just say no, Todd.
All right, when we're on the race and this happens, just be like, no, next. Right. And I'll be like, you know what? You're right. Honestly, you're right.
But I wasn't, but also I felt like I was Ashley because I also feel like, do I want to do this? No. But let's go. Let's do it. Because I feel like, you know, you are telling me you want to do a tie, so let's go. But I just
you don't
like
let him down either. I get
but
that.
Right. But also it's like sometimes, and again, I'm not even talking about Todd and Ashley anymore. I'm talking about some of my friendships and different things. There are so many times where it's like I feel like my friends they think if they are direct with me, I'm going to get upset. No, tell me. Like, just make that decision. Like, that's why you my friend. Like, let's go. But that's all.
This is 100 stories up. I'm like trying to do math in my head. If every story is 10 stairs, they just climb like a 100-story building. That's ridiculous.
Right. And then
I went to school at Syracuse, and there was 2 dorms freshman year that were they were on the Mount. And I think it was like 400 stairs to get up there. And it was a real pain in the ass. Oh. But this 11, it's a lot of stairs. Right. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So Greg and John decided to try it. Sorry, no, go.
No, I was just going to say Greg and John tried it, and they, I think they let the optics and getting winded a little give them out. But I loved that Corey was like, Corey? Yeah, Corey was like, if they would have kept going at the rate that they was going, they would have surpassed us because you kind of got to a peak. And then I don't know if he said they went down, but like they could have absolutely surpassed them. But good on Rob and Corey, because I feel like this express pass, in my opinion, is a check for $1 million.
I mean, I don't know how they don't I don't know what comes next. You and I make it a point to not have anybody spoil us. I don't know how you don't make it to the end if you have a free task at some point. This is what, like 8? You can use in the next 2 legs. I mean, final 3, I see you coming for them. I don't know. The other thing about these stairs is apparently there were some landings that were wide enough to get around somebody. But if I'm Rob and Corey and John and Greg are coming up behind me, I am blocking the way. I am making it so they do not get to pass me. I will use my full wiry self to block the way.
I thought about that. I was like, I wonder if they were to pass them, what that would look like. However, I feel like Rob is an honorable man. And when they got behind them, I feel like because he's a coach, he's a referee.
Sure, like, but you're at stair 900 of 1100. Screw honorable. I become a human boulder at that point. They would have to pick me up and physically, which they could, move me to get past me for that express pass. So I like how this
crawled under their legs.
Oh man. Well, too bad we didn't get to see that. So anyway, then so Rob and Corey get up there. They get to go down the zip line. Corey's like, my dad is just having the best day. Honestly, Rob had the best day. Up in the glider, most fun zip line ever. I mean, not
His
counting
NATO
the
knowledge came in
thousands of
handy.
I know, right? Not counting all the stairs, because the stairs are I don't know if I don't have a picture of it here, but when we were in Vietnam, one of the tasks, our pit stop was up 600 and some odd stairs, but they weren't real stairs. They were stairs carved into the side of a mountain. So they were like, there were goats literally like sideways hanging out on the mountain. It was very cool to see, but it was hundreds and hundreds, 600 and something, I believe, stairs to the top of a mountain. And they were like not normal stairs. It was rough. Like it was really, really, really bad. So to see these two do it, I actually think, go back to that picture that you just had up a second ago of them.
You can see, I think that's Corey and
might be Todd and Ashley down there. But they didn't have their backpacks, which is actually a really nice thing. They left their backpacks at the bottom, which was smart. We did not get to do that because it was a pit stop. You got to keep your backpack. So I can imagine how much harder that would have been with, 20 pounds or so on your back. Anyway, they get the express pass. Good for them. I'm fine with it. It's obnoxious that I'm like, it's okay to have an express pass because of who got it. I'm thrilled with it. So now everybody else who's not them doesn't try unless you're Steve and Annalie, but we'll talk about that later. So teams then have to go inside and cross-country ski inside this cool Nordic center to get their next clue, which is the Detour clue. This is a really fun episode, I think. Most people do a pretty good job of the skiing. A couple people flail about and fall down a few times, but nobody's getting really mad at each other. Todd and Ashley are getting a little bit snippy, but they're supportive and I'm okay with it.
I love with this photo that we're seeing on our YouTube, if you are listening, when you're like, why couldn't Todd do the glider plane? I feel like this photo kind of like shows you why he could not fit in.
Because he's like a foot taller than like the next tallest person, and he's just massive.
He's the size of the glider plane, so that's why he couldn't fit in.
That also makes me a little bit hesitant to be like, I want to get in a glider plane. Like if it's so unsafe or like if Todd, he's a big dude, but he's not like The Rock big, but like he probably is. We'll meet him in person in a couple of weeks and I'll be like, oh, nice to meet you. But if it's not safe for someone that size, like, is it really safe for anyone? I don't know. That being said, let's go skydiving. Okay. Kidding, Mom. No, I'm not. So they're doing the cross-country skiing. They're all with each other. Greg and John finish first. Then Robin and Chelsea. Team Shadow finishes second. Todd and Ashley. I like them. Don't be mad at me. Todd and Ashley finish third. And then Rob and Corey get the express pass. Blah, blah. It's valid until the end of like 10, which is great. Meanwhile, Rob and Corey and Joel and Garrett start doing the cross-country skiing. Morgan and Lena try to do the cross-country skiing, and Lena's falling immediately, and Steve and Annalie are 5 minutes behind. So when the teams finish the cross-country skiing, they have, you know what I should do? So Steve and Annalie are at the Detour, or at the roadblock, sorry, and Steve has to do the roadblock. So he gets it on the first try. She says she can't do it because she's too upset. I mean, she's self-aware. You got to give her credit that at least she's self-aware. She's like, I don't have it in me. My brain is not working right now. You do it. And this is where Morgan and Lena give them a pep talk, gives her a pep talk, which is very nice of them. And cut to everybody else is at the Detour clue. So the options are field work or housework. I am so curious to hear which one of these you would do. So for field work, you have to go to a field and you have to hang hay on these drying racks until the farmer gives you a clue. You have to rake up like a lot of hay, climb these racks, rack them up. And in housework, you have to go to this apiary and assemble a house for a family of bees. Fun fact, shout out to Matt's dad, who raises bees and makes his own honey. And since you were at the wedding, I don't know if you got some because it was everyone who stayed at the hotel got a little jar of Goodwin family honey in their hotel bag. I spent a lot of time putting honey in tiny little jars. It was exhausting, but it was great. And shout out to Gerald because he makes it's amazing honey. Like I'll give you some because if you compare it to honey in the store, you'll be like, that is trash. This is amazing. Anyway, I would probably do the bees just as a nod to the Goodwins. Yeah. Because I've been in, like with his bees, I've been in there and I've eaten honey off the honeycomb. It's really delicious. Yeah. And bees don't scare me. I think bees scare some people and I'm not allergic, so they don't bother me.
Well, I watch a lot of documentaries on bees, specifically where
They're amazing.
they nested in random places and the bee catchers have to like come and get them. And so
Like where?
like there was a oxygen tank that was like left by and like they had nested in there and they had to like literally zzz, it opened. They've been in cars, they've been in like actual sides of people's houses in their walls.
Oh,
And
I've
so-
heard about that. That's why can you send me these documentaries?
yeah.
The bees in cars is actually pretty cool. I bet it's like visually stunning too, because to look inside a hive, the amount of bees that like 100,000 bees are fitting in like a box, it's incredible.
It's crazy. And they always get like the hot sensor because then you can like literally see where they are. And then they always like try to find. But what I love about the doc, what I've learned is that like, because I would think if I'm hiring a bee person to come get them out, they just kill them. But they don't. They
No, you keep the
relocate
queen.
them.
Mhm.
So after they open the hive, they always try to find the
queen.
And I'm always like, how you find it? But I guess when they show it to us, I'm like, oh, okay, I can kind of see it, but there's no way that I could see it. So then they'll get a box and then they'll put the queen in like a little thing and they'll put the queen in the box and then you'll see them do the bee march. So that's always interesting. But from that doc that I watched, because mind you, I don't be sleeping at night. I think at like 3:00 in the morning, I get up and then I'm just up. So I just am on YouTube, which is why when you were on your honeymoon and you were texting me, you're like, why are you up? I was like, girl,
It
I've
was
been
like,
up.
what? It's like 4 a.m. where you are.
But I have learned to tell, because sometimes they're like, oh, the bees, they're not angry. I'm like, girl, they flying in front of your face. And then there are times when they're like, these bees are aggressive. And so I kind of have like, when they're aggressive, they actually like are attacking you
Mhm.
as opposed to them kind of like, so I would just say that to say that I feel like I know enough to know that if the bees weren't aggressive, I think that I would want to do the bee detour. However, I feel like from the seasons that I have watched with you during this later in the season, I think that I'm going to always go for the more physical ones.
All right, that's fair. I don't think either one of these was particularly like harder than the other. I think they were both fairly even, although I think the B one might have been a little bit faster, depending on who you are. Because honestly, Todd and Ashley do not get to the hay one first. Robin and Chelsea, I think, Greg and John, we're going to do the bees. And Robin and Chelsea, we're going to do the hay. So Greg makes this really fun comment where he's like, oh my God, independent thought is a real thing. They were going to do something different than us. But then Greg and John decide to switch before they even get to the bees. So they do give Robin and Chelsea a little credit for not following here. Robin and Chelsea have decided to do their own. So Greg and John, Robin and Chelsea, then Todd and Ashley get there. And then Rob and Corey get there. I got to tell you, Todd and Ashley, here's the other thing about Robin and Chelsea, which I don't hate on Robin and Chelsea. I don't have any problem with how they're doing their thing, but they do make this comment, which I think is a little bit rude. They make a comment about Ashley saying, Todd and Ashley are going to have to switch because she doesn't have the ability to do hard work.
Now, what we're not going to do is come for our Todd or our Ashley. That's one thing we're not going to stand for here.
And Ashley doesn't even hear this. You know what? This happened to me. I'm so self-centered. This happened to me in Venice. I did a roadblock where we had to paint this mask. And I got in there, I guess I got in there last. I didn't even realize I was last at the time because I was so in my head. And I asked the lady to restart the demonstration. I told you this one before, and they won't restart a demonstration. She's like, no. And so, but I jumped over 2 people. And one of the girls who was in there, I didn't hear it. She said it to the camera. She's like, Brooke, always asking for help, even if it's from, the instructor lady. Put on your big girl pants, Brooke, and just do it. And then I jumped over her and somebody else. And I didn't know this until I saw the episode because we were like friendly with that team. We didn't really have a problem. Later, we ended up U-turning that team. I didn't know at the time that any of this had happened. So I was a little less mad, but not because we shouldn't have done that. But anyway, so Robin says this to the camera. Ashley doesn't know, but Ashley pulled a Brooke in Venice and was like, I got here third. We're leaving here first. They nailed it. And this was not something that Todd did on his own without Ashley doing her part, because the 2 of them together were so fast. They get it on their first check. They are in, they are out, and she does have the ability to do hard work. So anyway.
She married to Todd. That's hard work right there, okay? Like, what do you mean? So, come on. Not our Todd and Ashley.
Love it. And then even though they got there like fourth, Rob and Corey, who now have the express pass, are also so fast that they got out of there second. So they're nailing it too. Greg and John are in and out, apparently allergic to hay. Who knew? They had no idea, but they start sneezing their faces off. But they don't get mad. They just go quickly. And they're in and out third. And then Morgan and Lena, who weren't even there at the beginning. I feel like this is karma for Robin and Chelsea, because Morgan and Lena, who weren't even there at the beginning, fly through this. They get out fourth, and Robin and Chelsea, who were there, are fifth. So they drop from basically getting their first to fifth. And it's fine because everyone's still very close to each other. It's not like they've fallen out of contention. So meanwhile, at the B's, you have Joel and Garrett, who are like, oh, this is like IKEA furniture. The B things are snapping together. They have to paint them. They have to put little picture placards on them. And then Steve and Annalee get there. And Steve and Annalee are going fairly quickly. Joel and Garrett leave. But in classic Joel and Garrett style, they have left behind Joel's notebook. And they actually have a moment where they go, do we go get it or do we not go get it? Because you don't need your notebook. You need your passport, the end, and the clothes on your back.
And your fanny pack, which sometimes will have your passport and other stuff.
You could leave your fanny pack as long as you have the ability to go to the next country, as long as you have your passport.
But
you can move on.
Seasoned racer will tell you that, at the end, if you are planning to make it to the end,
right,
you got to study them notes that you have taken. Remember the country, remember the flag, anything that you know, because if you're trying to get to the end, and I feel like them going back to get it, in my mind, lets me know that they are in it to win it. And I love a team like that.
But do they only have one notebook? I don't know. Why are they not both taking notes? I
feel like it was, who was it?
Joel's notebook.
I feel like when Joel was younger, he took a calligraphy class. And so I feel like he's an expert calligrapher. And so I think that he just has better handwriting. So,
I mean, my notebook was chicken scratch. It's actually right here, I think.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my little notebook.
Show us a page. Read us something that you wrote. Oh my God.
This chicken scratchy. This is my little moleskin notebook, which has like the Amazing Race season 29 right here in it. Yep. And it says my name and my old address. And it says like, if you find this, please return to as a reward. I wrote, you'll feel good about yourself. Give it back to me. And so Amazing Race season 29. And then in there is every country, a little picture of the flag, what the route information.
You drew the flag.
I did. Shout out to Seth on my season because he brought colored pencils. And when they were out, I had to start drawing the flags in black and white. But it's, who finished what on what leg, who did what roadblock, who. And this is Norway. I looked up like, how are you in Norwegian? Have a great day, and wrote it in Norwegian. Can you help us? Where is this? Like, we are in a race. I don't know how to say these things, but I wrote them down phonetically so I could, or in Norwegian, so that I could show it to people and say thank you. But yeah, like fly to Hanoi, like everything is written, everything. And then at the end, I even wrote down, we knew we were going to Chicago at the end, things to do in Chicago and where they are, where they might send us. Yeah, we were nuts. Not fast, not strong. And so it worked out nicely. And, every place we came in, every greeter, and I think, toward the end, I'm just getting, this is so off topic, but like who came in first place on every leg, who checked us in at every leg, the money of every leg, like everything. Listen. Just everything. And I have something in the back here. I don't know what's in the back. I have a little note from one of the other racers on my season, Red on my season. Yeah, a little note from one of the other. It's all very nice. So yes, I keep this behind my little Amazing Race thing, and every so often I go to look at it, but I haven't looked at it in quite some time. And that's that story. Everyone should have a notebook, because if you leave it behind and you have a second one, you don't need to go back. But that's all I have to say about that. So here's what happens. Joel and Garrett leave their notebook, and Steve and Annalee are the only ones left at the Detour. And then Joel and Garrett give them a pep talk because they're having a hard time. Good on everybody for being so kind. And Annalee, she says thank you. But I got to tell you, Annalee and Steve have such a great system. They go so fast, and they are doing a great job. And they get in and out of there very, very quickly. Yeah, tell me.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, yeah, they might bicker, they might fight, but when it's time to get down to do business,
They do it. Like, they are really, really good. And they don't even really, they're not mean to each other.
they're family. That's
Snippy. Yeah. It's not like she's like, F you, dad, you suck. No one's harder on anyone. If anything, she's harder on herself. And no one should be mad at her for that.
But I
So
do love
anyway.
it. I do love it when Steve's like, hey, you better, hey, little girl,
I brought you into this world.
and I'll take you out. Hey, you want to watch TV tonight? Because I'm thinking about taking that TV away in your bedroom. So you, hey, not too much on that. I love his, I do like, I don't like the way that they're being edited, but I'd be lying if I did not say that I do enjoy their going back and forth, because it just reminds me of like me getting a little sassy with my mom and my mom being like, I'm not one of your little friends, so keep it cute. So I think that his comebacks are very like parenty. Like,
very
right,
appropriately
like,
dad. Yeah.
Yes.
Agree. Okay, so when the detour is over, you have to drive to this like skyscraper thing and climb to the top of it. So the thing is, everyone who has done the hay is now like itchy and uncomfortable in their car, and like Morgan and Lena have hay in their hair. Rob and Corey actually pull over to get a Benadryl and to like wipe themselves off because they're so covered in hay. So Todd and Ashley get there first. John and Greg get there second. They meet up outside the building. And Morgan and Lena go. I gotta tell you, this season is about finding parking garages. Like, people can't find a parking garage. It's the hardest thing that anyone has to do. They go to the wrong parking garage. Robin and Chelsea are lost.
Well, was Robin and Chelsea following Greg?
Not this time.
Oh.
I don't think, because they get lost. Anyway, yeah, they don't get to the...
I really feel like this season, the garages are the detours.
Right.
Or the U-turns. The U-turns.
Whatever, the hardest task that's out there, because people are not finding them. So... yeah. So anyway, Rob and Corey get to the skyscraper, and Rob is so funny. He goes, again, stairs, again.
That's like, right.
I mean, this poor, in all fairness, nobody else had to climb 1,100 stairs except for him and his son. But
Todd and Ashley climbed 7 additional ones. So,
John and Greg climbed about 50. And then you have the other ones that climbed 1,100. We joked around affectionately, like the camera guys and whatnot, called our season the season of stairs, because at least half of the pit stops were up a few hundred stairs. So I feel for you, Rob. We had the season of stairs. If I went through it, I would say 5 of our 12, at least 5 of our 12 were up a good amount of stairs. So, and
also, let's just give a shout out to production and the cameraman, because it's not just Corey and Rob going up these stairs. It's the cameraman, and I would assume your producer as well. So it's your
cameraman and sound guy. I have to say, these are the hardest working people in show business, because half the time they're running backwards. They're doing things backwards so they can get the front of you on camera, and they are in the best shape of anybody. A lot of them are marathon runners and like ultra trainer, whatever, but they have Amazing Race will have you, before you start the race, hold a camera for just 2 minutes to see what it's like. This shit's heavy. And then the sound person has to carry the sound stuff, but also extra batteries for the camera. Like, this stuff is heavy, like so much credit. And I'm dying and hoofing with like 18 pounds on my back. And they're like, okay, just.
I would love if, on an upcoming season, that one of the detours or one of the roadblocks was you switch places with with the camera people, and you have to essentially correctly follow a challenge.
Oh, that'd be cool to pick up I don't know what kind of not shaky, like, I don't know what kind of quality. Maybe you'd also have camera guys. Guys watching the people do the camera guys person's job. And yeah, that'd be actually pretty cool.
And they need to get one of the judges from this season to judge it. And if it's wrong, I need a
no. See, you knew it. You knew it. That's my favorite judge. No. Okay. So anyway, he goes up the stairs. He's like, you gotta be kidding me. But they do it. They're great. Greg and John, Todd and Ashley are in a foot race. And then you have Joel and Garrett there, and all very close. Robin and Chelsea, Steve and Annalie, and Morgan and Lena. So close, in fact, that Steve and Annalie and Morgan and Lena, who are at the back of the pack, Steve and Annalie get to the top and get their clue. And as they are taking the elevator down, which people seem to have a problem with because it said travel by foot. Elevator is by foot, Facebook. Relax. You're not getting in a car. Like, Everyone is so, if this were Rob and Corey who took the elevator down, which they probably did, I assume every team took the elevator down, because if you didn't, what's wrong with you? Nobody would have had a problem. It's because they showed Steve and Annalie get in the elevator, and they only showed that because as the elevator doors were closing, Morgan and Lena were getting to the top to get their clue. That's how close it was. It was like within a minute. And everyone's like, well, production's helping them because they got to take the elevator. That's by foot. Like
It's the fact that you're in this Facebook group reading these comments for me, Brooke, but I love it.
It's like pop up. When I go into Facebook, Amazing Race pops up for me, and then I'm like, what kind of hate are these people getting today?
So
like,
you go into the group.
So I actually have responded once or twice being like, production didn't help them. This is what actually happens. You can't go on to a second detour till you finish the first. And somebody had to tell them they had to finish. Like, people are just so anti-Annalie, and it's wrong.
It's the dedication of the race for me, Brooke.
You're entitled to your opinion, even if your opinion is wrong. Okay, so Steve and Annalie, I don't know how they got ahead of Morgan and Lena, but they did. They're racing up the stairs. Then, so Greg and John check in first for like the third time in a row. So I don't know if they're going to have a fall from grace or if this is just the way it's going to happen.
I'm saying, who were the YouTubers?
Oh, Penn and Kim and Penn.
They had a run very similar to this. Now they did fall from grace at like the last, if it 9, because it's normal. They did fall,
yeah.
And then they so I'm just saying, I wouldn't be mad. I mean, here's the thing. I guess it doesn't count because I wouldn't be mad if it's Todd and Ashley. I wouldn't be mad if it's Corey and Rob. I wouldn't be mad if it's John and Greg. I wouldn't be mad if it's Joel and Garrett.
Yeah,
So
I wouldn't be mad really any of that. I like all these teams. I don't know if there is. There should be. There's been one U-turn this whole season. There should be another one. And Greg and John should be nervous because at this point, if you don't U-turn Greg and John or Rob and Corey, because they have that express pass, you're not doing it right. This is the time where you don't play with your heart, you play with your head. So Greg and John are first. They win a trip to Namibia. This looks so cool. A season a couple before I went to Namibia, and I am dying to go on safari. Todd and Ashley miss it by seconds, which is so unfortunate because to have to stand on the mat and be like, this is what this team won, and they got here 15 seconds before you is heartbreaking. And then Rob and Corey are third. Rob is so cute. He's like, I feel great. And he signs, but please no more stairs. And Corey interprets for him, which is funny. Joel and Garrett bump up to fourth. They had a nice climb this leg in fourth place. Their positivity is great because they finished their detour second to last, but they're very good at directions. They get where they need to go quickly. Robin and Chelsea are fifth. Steve and Annalie by a minute, literal minute, are sixth. And then Morgan and Lena, because they didn't get as good directions as Steve and Annalie, they're doing the right thing as far as I'm concerned, where you're running to the pit stop or wherever, just yelling the name of where you need to go, like Dragon Bridge, and hope people point you. Because as you know, if you stop to ask for directions, you have to have the person sign a release, and then it takes time. And who has time at this point? So I think they did it right. They just weren't getting great directions. And so they say they got something better than the money, which was like a new lease on their relationship. And I actually believe them. I don't think they're being coy or pissy about it. You can tell how much they love each other. I am sad to see them go. I think that when we saw them at the beginning and they're like, we're going to be like oil and water. And no, we never saw it. A little bit of snip, but they're sisters and that's fine. And the love always came through. So I'm so disappointed that they're not going to be there next week. But, if there is another season of unfinished business stuff, I feel like they would be prime candidates to be brought back. And I know that's something they would want.
They were so fun to watch. And like I said to them, and if you haven't checked out, Brooke and I do have an exit interview with Lena and Morgan. Go check that out. But like I said to them when I was talking to them, you guys should be proud. You made it very far in the race, and there are people that go out first, second, and third, right? That don't even get to experience what you experienced. So I just always say, keep your head up high. You did great. People love you. And if there was all-star season, you guys would be prime picking for it. So I think I love them, and I'm glad that they got as far as they did.
Yeah, we love our all-female team. I'm a fan of the all-female team, woman power. To make it 8 out of the 12 legs is it's impressive. It is way harder than it looks on television. They're both very strong women, but there are tasks on these races that are made for someone who has just a lot of like bulk and strength,
and mind you,
but they have it.
Right. But I do think that it is something that the Amazing Race should address. And moving forward, like I feel like sometimes I do feel like some of the challenges are built for a particular type of team. And I would love just to see it a little bit more diverse so that it's spread out among everyone. Because when you look at all the winners of Amazing Race, it's only a select few that are all the ladies.
Oh, women? Yeah, no, it's
Yes.
very
And
rare.
so I just would like to see more women winning the race. Not that there haven't been women winners, because you're one of them, but like I want to see all lady team.
I like when an all-female team wins it. And we have one all-female team left who could still take it, Robin and Chelsea. So women power, and let's see how they do next time.
Yes. Well, this has been your Purple Pants Podcast pit stop coverage of Amazing Race season
And some
35.
other things. I don't know. We went a little off the rails. Sorry.
It's quite all right, but that's what a podcast is about, okay? We'll be back next week covering episode 9. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and we will see you soon.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Pit stop. Pit stop. It's a